Hey, well, welcome back to PALS TV, everyone. This will be our final segment of the day, but really looking forward to it. We'll be finishing off our day, coming to you live from Gallia, down in Gallipolis, learning about some different self-defense techniques and empowerment that you can do for yourselves just to be an advocate. And we talk about that a lot at PALS, just about advocacy and always trying to stick up for yourselves and defend yourselves. And this really falls right in line with what we always encourage you to do. So today we're very fortunate to have Scott King with us, who is a Krav Maga instructor. He has a very decorated past. He's a former United States Marine. Thank you for your service, Scott. We really appreciate that. And a lot of law enforcement background, and just has a passion for teaching our folks and people we work with different self-defense techniques, and really making sure that you are able to protect yourselves. And I know that that's very important to us, and making sure that you feel safe always. So thank you, Scott, again for being here, and really looking forward to your segment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Scott, can you hear us? You're good?
Yeah, I've got you.
Okay, you're perfect. Everyone can hear you, and the floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. I've got to tell you, I'm so excited about coming this way, because I've never had a chance to do this. But I've also got to say that I miss you guys. Every time I come down, I look forward to working with you and the other places I go. So this is kind of different. It's a nice way to stay in contact. If you're on board with me today from the Gallia team, you may get some pop quiz questions, because I want to see what you're remembering and what you're not. So today, we're going to be covering, and this is probably the most important lesson. It doesn't matter whether I'm working, I'm down there visiting you guys and we're working together, or whether I'm training law enforcement. It doesn't matter. Situational awareness is what we're going to talk about today. And I always say, the very best self-defense is don't be there. If we can get away from it and avoid it, boom, we're in a good position, okay? So we're going to talk about some of this, but I know all my Gallia friends already know this, so maybe calling on you. There's a little game I like to teach, and it's called the 10-second game. And the reason I call it that, it takes about 10 seconds to play, or less. The more we play it, the better we get. But this is a good way to start. When we go in somewhere, anywhere, whether it's the first time we've been there or whether it's somewhere we visit all the time, first thing we should start doing is scanning the room for doorways, entrances, and exits. It's always good to know. It's good to know how to get out of a place. Now, usually when I'm teaching in person, I always say, why would it be good to know where that's at? So I'm not real sure who's on board with us today, but if anybody thinks they'd want to take a shot at sharing their ideas, I'm here and I'm ready to hear it. Since we were little, even in school or the cafeterias we go to or other places, they always say, in case someone pulls the fire alarm, what do we have to do? We don't just stand there. We want to know how to get out of that building, okay? So that's important to know where those exits are. But doorways work both ways, don't they? Sadly, today, we're having a lot of activity that's not so nice, and people are coming into places and are doing really bad things. And I won't go into all that detail, but if you've watched any of the news or talked to anybody, we know that people are coming into our churches, our Walmarts, our McDonald's, libraries, colleges, schools, everywhere, and they're bringing guns in and they're shooting. So we don't we not only want to know where the doorways are so we can get out, because we do want to get away from those situations, but we also want to kind of keep an eye on things on who might be coming in. Because the quicker we can see something, a problem, we're going to talk a little more about that next. Anything that makes us feel uncomfortable, the quicker we can see that and recognize it, it sets off alarms inside of us. That's when we have to take action. So we want to know how to get out of those places, but we also want to see what's coming in. The next thing is, and this is I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this one here. Once we go in, and it doesn't matter if you're visiting a McDonald's somewhere, or maybe you're sitting in the lobby at the doctor's office, or maybe you're just going through a festival downtown on the riverfront. Make a note as you're looking around. Make a note of anybody that makes you feel uncomfortable for any reason, because you're the boss of yourself. You set your own rules. So what might be comfortable for somebody else, but yet you see something that makes you feel uncomfortable? Oh, we make a note of this and we identify that. Doesn't mean they're good, doesn't mean they're bad. It just means for whatever reason, I don't feel so comfortable around that. We're going to talk about some things there in just a second. If you have ideas of things that might make you feel uncomfortable or situations you've been in, man, well, I'm anxious to hear from you. We're all anxious to hear what you've got to say and share, because we're all here to learn together. So, but for example, let's say if someone comes up and stands just a little too close to you. Has that ever happened? It's happened to me, and it makes me feel kind of uncomfortable, especially if it's someone I don't know, or if I'm in a place that I've never been before. It makes me wonder why that person's wanting to get so close to me. I know there was a time when I lived and I worked down in Washington, D.C., and I'd have to ride the subway, the tram, back and forth to the Capitol to work. And in the mornings when everybody else was going to work, we'd be packed in there just as tight as we could get. I understand that. I get that. But if I'm out somewhere, maybe I'm at a sporting event and I'm standing in line waiting to buy a hot dog, or whatever we find ourselves doing, and someone just gets a little too close to you. Maybe you're at the mall. Those are things that we want to identify those. We want to understand that. We don't just want to ignore it. That's the bad thing. So that might be one scenario where we want to pay attention to what's going on around us. But guess what? Now I'm going to flip the script on you too. Sometimes people can make us feel uncomfortable from clear across the room, from clear across the parking lot even. Let me give you an example of this. If you're watching the camera, I'll try and stare into my camera. So you walk in somewhere, and maybe you're looking at the menu at the McDonald's, and you're standing in the back of the line. You haven't really stepped up yet to place your order, but all of a sudden you notice someone from the other side of the room giving you this. I call it the stink eye or the mean mug, but they're looking at you in a way that just makes you feel like, what's up with that person? That's your clue. That's your clue. Now, at that point, we can make a choice because we've practiced good situational awareness. The minute we walked in, although most McDonald's are alike, they'll have a door back by the bathroom and usually 2 doors on each side to come in. And even if we go there every day, sometimes those doors may be broken. So I want to know if there's an out of service sign or please use this exit or whatever. But we've already done that because we went in and we checked everything out. Okay, I'm ready to place an order for my food. Well, what do I want today? And then I just happened to catch somebody kind of giving me the mean mug, you know, or the stink eye. Now I've got a choice to make. If I don't feel like they're threatening yet, or I don't feel threatened, then I can stay and just keep my eye on them. Or you know what? Maybe I just want to leave. Because remember, the first thing we said about 10 minutes ago was the best self-defense, don't be there. The quicker we recognize these bad situations, the better options we have to get out of them. And that's one of my notes here is when you're in a bad situation, your options to get out of it are usually bad too. Sadly, I could tell a lot of stories on myself over the course of my life of times when I didn't really listen to that voice, and maybe I misjudged the situation or just kind of, didn't pay any attention to it, and things got a little worse. I still ignored it. Things got a little worse. And pretty soon, here I am in the middle of a bad situation. And my options to get out of it at that point are not so good. Whereas had I listened to that voice early on, I could have probably just walked away and came back and got my Big Mac later on with no problems at all. So that's an example. So the first thing we're looking at, entrances and exits. I want to know how to get out quickly if I have to. And I also kind of want to know who's coming in because of the bad things that happen. And it doesn't necessarily have to mean someone coming in, with a gun, although that's a reality, guys. That's a reality of the world today. Let's say, let's go to Burger King this time. Let's say we're in there. We're by ourselves. We just thought we'd stop and grab a sandwich and maybe a cup of coffee or a Coke. And all of a sudden, a rowdy group of people come in. Maybe it's younger people. And they're acting all crazy and pushing each other around and just acting really not so normal. And we see this. Now, right away, there's a voice inside of us that says, I don't think I would act that way if that was me. Or I wonder why they're acting that way. Or maybe it's very obvious. Maybe it's real plain to us and they're pushing each other around and they're about to get in a fight. That voice inside of us that's there to protect us says, you better keep your eye on them. Better keep your eye on them. And then pretty soon it says, hey, might be time to leave. Might be time to leave. Get your quarter pounder later. So these are the decisions we can make on these things. Now I'm going to take it even. I'm going to twist it again a little bit. So far, we've talked about first thing we do in the 10-second game. Where's my doorways? My entrances, exits, everything's looking good. Hey, how you doing? I'm scanning the room. I'm looking for anyone that makes me feel uncomfortable. In that, we've talked about people who might get close to us or make us feel uncomfortable for any reason. Maybe they're loud. Maybe they've had too much to drink and they're intoxicated. Maybe they're drunk, or maybe they're on drugs. Then we talked about people who really aren't anywhere close to us, but for whatever reason, they make us feel uncomfortable from clear across the room or clear across the parking lot because they're giving us that stare, that trouble stare. Like, what are you looking at? What's your problem? I don't have a problem. Sorry, I thought I knew you. Sorry. And I'm on my way out the door because I know where the doorways are at. But I'm going to add one more thing to this. Sometimes when people have bad intentions, they might act nice to get close to you, because when they're way over there in the corner of the room or maybe a couple parking spaces away, it's hard for them to get to me. It's hard for them to get their hands on me. And so they know that they may have to act nice. They may have to pretend a little bit. And what they may do is say, oh, hey, is your name, are you Thomas? Did we go to school together? I think my brother used to work with you at, and they're walking to you. Or maybe they'd act like they don't even know you and they say, hey, excuse me, do you know, can you tell me what time it is? And the whole time, you know what they're doing? They're coming closer and closer and closer and closer. And now, when they're this close, boom, they're close enough to grab you. But they didn't give us any really bad signs, did they? But guess what? If you remember one of the things we talked about earlier too, I said, you're the boss of yourself. You're the boss of yourself. And what I mean by that is, I don't mean it's like you can tell yourself, I'm going to sleep in an extra hour this morning, or I'm going to have 3 Big Macs instead of 1. I do that sometimes. What I mean is, you have the right to control that space around you for your own protection and safety. No one has a right to mistreat you. No one has a right to talk down to you or to talk bad. You're the boss of yourself. These type of, the 10-second game, for example, empowers us. It helps us see the situations we're about to get into, and then we can make a judgment. And you know what? Maybe it is someone. If they really want to know what time it is, the example we used on the last one there, my wife used to get upset with me. She would say, why are you so rude with people? Why do you act like that? We're going to talk about that in a minute too. And I would say, you know why? Because I can tell them what the time is from here. It's 20 after 3. Stay over there. I don't know them. I don't mean to be mean. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm trying to protect myself and the people that are with me, my family and friends. I know, and now you do too, if we let them get close enough, put their hands on you. It's hard to do it over there. In the lessons coming up, we're going to learn some cool things that we can do. The wall, we're going to talk about different stuff, how to keep people back. But today we're going to focus on this is important. Okay, 10-second game. We're almost there. First thing we looked at, entrances, exits. Anyone in the room that makes us feel uncomfortable. Maybe they're standing too close to us. Maybe they're giving us the mean mug or the stink eye from across the room, or maybe they're saying things like, Ohio State sucks. I don't like the Mountaineers. Marshall Thundering Herd stinks. I don't care. It's just a hat, maybe just a shirt I'm wearing. No big deal. But guess what? It registers with me. But we've also learned, they start getting close enough to us, we have to own that space, right? Because we're our own boss. We have a right to that. Now here's the third thing. And sometimes this gets a little, because we're good people, it makes us uncomfortable. But let's talk about the third thing. The third thing I'm looking for when I go into that room after I finish scanning for entrance to the doorways and anyone that makes me feel uncomfortable, you know what else I'm looking for? Any kind of tool I could use to help me protect and defend myself. Look around the room right now that you're in and just see what you've got. I can tell you right now, I'm sitting here. I'm sitting at my dining room table, and I'm going to reach over and grab this. Oh, my wife's not looking. I could probably throw that. If someone attacked me and I had to grab something to help protect and defend myself, a tool, you know what else I got right in my hand? An ink pen. Stay back. Stay back. Now all of a sudden you mean business. Now all of a sudden you're not a victim because you're the boss of yourself. And you've definitely proved it to them. Okay? So that's the 10-second game. entrances and exits, anyone that makes us feel uncomfortable, anything I can use as a tool to help protect and defend myself. All right? We carry ourselves with confidence. If, let's go back to the parking lot. The person's away. Hey, excuse me, and they're shuffling over and something just doesn't seem right and they want to know what time it is, or they're asking me something. We already know that I really don't want to let them get close to me. And if I have to, I'll say, that's far enough. What do you need? But there's a difference, isn't there, between me saying, what do you want? I don't know. I can't help you. I'm sorry. I don't know. Versus this person. What do you need? I can't help you. It's 25 minutes after 3. We look them right in the eye. Because number one, I want to know what's going on. I'm watching their hands. I'm watching how they move. You know what else I'm watching? I'm watching if they're going to keep coming. If they keep coming after I've already told them either to back off or, hey, it's 25 after 3, little warning bells start to get louder and louder in my head now, okay? Carry ourselves with confidence. We mean business because we played the 10-second game. We have a little bit of a leg up here. Now we're on a level playing field. We have to own that space around us. That's our space. We're the boss of our space. When you go out and we're starting to visit places, even if it's Walmart. I mean, Walmart's still open, so we go there a lot. Kroger's, wherever you want to go to visit. Do you have a safe place in there that if something happened, you would know where to go to? And maybe the people you went with went to pick up some groceries on one side of the store, and you said, hey, I want to go look at clothes or new PlayStation games or something like that in another part of the store. And while you're apart, something happens and chaos breaks loose. Anytime violence shows up somewhere, every time violence shows up somewhere, chaos comes with it. So you're separated. If that happened, would you know where to go? Do you have a place picked out? Maybe it could be meet me in the milk section, or would they know where to find you? So these are things to think about because we're getting sharper now. We're getting better. Even at home, it's good to have a safe place. Let's talk about, before we go, I want to talk about danger signs, a little bit of danger signs. So here we are, we're back out in wherever we're visiting. This could even be, this could even be at home maybe. You know, even if we're sitting in the comfort of our home and we're enjoying our TV program, we just had a nice dinner, maybe a visitor stops over to the house that makes us uncomfortable, okay? If you're out there and you want to jump in right now and you can think of something I haven't thought about, any kind of danger sign or something that would make you feel uncomfortable, oh yeah, jump on. I really want to hear from you. How about alcohol and drug use? I got my notes here. Would this be a situation we feel safe in if we go to a party or something like that? And maybe it's a cookout. And, you know, sometimes people like to grill hamburgers and they'll want to have a cold beer on a hot summer day. And I don't judge them for that. But it's when people get really too many beers or something and they start getting a little wild, a little crazy. Then they start arguing with somebody and things get higher and higher and higher. Those are the kind of things we want to take note of. We have to decide then, maybe this is a good time to go get with the person I came with, or go, you know, just go home, because the best self-defense is what? I knew you would know it. The best self-defense is don't be there. How about, let's say we're at a Marshall Thundering Herd game, or let's say an Ohio State game. And we need to go to the bathroom really bad. And we've got our Ohio State hat on, our Ohio State jersey, and our face is all painted up, go Buckeyes and all this. Is it a good idea to go to the Michigan bathroom? You're asking for trouble there. No, don't. We don't want to tempt fate. So we always want to know what's going on around us and make good decisions. But if the game is over, we're going back to our car in the parking lot, and, you know, we're really happy because our team won, but we see a big group of people over there, and they're all circled up, and they're yelling, and they're screaming. And I don't mean the kind of yelling and screaming like, yeah, we won, yeah. I mean, it sounds to me like it's angry yelling and screaming. You think it'd be a good idea to just keep going over toward that crowd to see what's going on? Hi.
Did you hide it?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. Have you got a question?
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
David Wim,
Where you put it?
David Wim got hot
Right
quest,
there, Bardo.
David Wim, my little worm, and then Kiwi. And it like a lot issue about it like it's lawyer after.
Just talk nicely, there's no issue.
Nagila.
Yeah, I couldn't I think I might have been breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, I missed the beginning of that.
Yeah.
Gila. Yeah, what did she do?
What were you asking about, Gila?
Computer batteries
Did
low.
they actually come here, like actually talk to you?
Oh, actually come to Columbus to do some of these self-defense classes? I don't know. That's kind of a trip for you, huh?
I'd love to. That's what I do. I'd love to come up there.
That would be awesome. We would love that. That's great. Thank you, Gila.
Okay, are we back in the parking lot? I've still got Gila on screen. I seen from Tracy and Heath. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Scott.
Okay, yeah, I seen a question pop up from Tracy from Heath, asking if I'd come to Heath, and I would love to come to Heath.
You're gonna have
Would
to do
love to.
the Central
Okay.
Ohio.
Yep, no problem. Okay, I want to go back to the parking lot right now. So here they are, they're yelling and screaming, and all of a sudden we start to hear things break. And you know what? It might even be our car. But is it worth me and the people I'm with getting hurt and maybe beat up by a mob to go over there and try and say, hey, leave my car alone when you've got all these people and you're outnumbered? What's the best self-defense? That's today's lesson. What's the best self-defense? Perfect. Don't be there. If we can see the problem, get away from it, guess what? We win. We win. We go home. Breaking things. Gunshots. What if we're in Walmart and we're looking at the latest Xbox game? And it just happens to be Call of Duty or something. But all of a sudden, we hear gunshots. What do you think? Should we run toward the gun shop to see what's going on? Maybe they killed the deer in Walmart. I don't think so. We need to go to that safe place. Remember we talked about the safe place just a little bit ago? Because even if we're not with the people that we came with, they'll hear them too. And they're going to know, that's gunshots. I got to get out of here. Scott's going to a safe place. That's where I'll meet him at. Things to think about. This just makes us better. Okay. Other examples. Let's see. We got a few minutes left here. Here's the importance of getting away from the danger. Here's how this works. If you guys, if you're like me, I like to watch National Geographic and Animal Planet and things like that. I love those shows. And every show, every episode where they have gazelle and they're out on the African plain and they've got the big, beautiful antlers, and there's these huge herds of them. There might be hundreds of them. And they've all got their heads down and they're eating grass because that's what they do. That's what they were created to do. And they're just enjoying life. And in these episodes that I watch, makes me sad, but there's always one little gazelle. And this one little gazelle always has its head down. It's eating grass just like everybody else, but it's not really paying attention to what's going on around it. Not really paying attention. And it's eating. And the herd kind of moves on just a little bit. And it looks up and it looks around, like, they're just over there. I'm okay. And it goes back down and it starts eating again a little bit, looks up, and the herd's a little farther away now. But it still doesn't feel like anything's wrong. Now, every one of these episodes end the same way. Well, that little gazelle is eating and the herd's getting farther away. It's out there by itself now. Every time, what's out there creeping around in the bushes, sneaking around, looking around? A lion, a tiger, a cheetah, a predator. And just when that little gazelle least expects it, you know what happens to it? Bam! It becomes lunch for that lion or tiger or cheetah because it wasn't paying attention. It shouldn't have been by itself. There's safety in the herd. So guess what, friends? When we go on these field trips to Kings Island and all the fun things that PALS does with us, should we stay with the group or just wander off on our own? What happened to that little gazelle? Tracy says yes. We should stay with the group. Excellent, Tracy. Thank you. There's safety in numbers. So we always want to stay with our group. But I always like to use that little story because people, we've all seen those programs on TV. And I promise you, next time you see it, you'll think about this story here and think, I'm not going to be that one that gets caught out there by itself. I'm staying with the group. I'm staying with my herd because there's safety there. Okay. I have covered all of my notes today. And now my last note says scenario and question time. And we got a few minutes left. So I'm going to get a drink of water. And if anybody can think of a question, Tracy said stay with the group because it's safe. Absolutely right. If anyone can think of a question or anything, let's talk about it.
I go a chair for the fence. Use a chair.
Chair, yes. See, you're looking at those tools that are around you, and you're finding ways you can use them to protect yourself. Very good. That's an excellent point. I can either put that chair between me and them, or if it's a smaller chair, maybe I can just pick it up and then run. Because the best self-defense is what? Don't be there. Get away from it. I'm looking. Come on, I want to hear some more questions here. Teach me, because I know you guys know a lot.
I have a question.
Okay, David.
What if we're in the store shopping and someone comes up to you and they say, hey, you need to come with me right now? Do we have to go with them?
No. And I'm glad you brought that up because that just happens to be covered in some of next week's lesson. And beyond that, we're going to talk about things we can do to protect ourselves from that, and I'm going to talk about becoming the rock and the boulder. We're going to drop and make ourselves heavy. But if someone comes up and says, I'm a security officer and you need to come with me right now. No, you don't. You can make noise. I'm already in the next week's lesson today. Let me ask you something. We're all sitting here and we're in this group chat visiting with each other. But if a fire truck went by our house outside right now, we're all looking at the screen, but how would we know a fire truck went by? How would we know? Because they make noise and they want to draw attention to themselves. They want people to hear that siren and get out of the way because they've got to go save somebody. It's the same thing for us. We feel threatened, we can turn on that siren. We can make some noise. Say, no, I don't have to come with you. If there's, there's always going to be someone hopefully with you, but you don't have to go. You don't have to go. And if you feel threatened, if they start pulling you and tugging on you, we're going to talk about a technique later. But right now, no, I'm not going with you. Stop. There's power in our words. Oh, you're stealing my lesson plan for next week.
All right, I was trying to set you up for next week.
No,
I have one more question.
No, it's good. We're going to talk more about that.
You're talking about situational awareness today. Let's say that we are once again in the store shopping on an outing or something like that, and we notice that someone kind of keeps, like you said, eyeballing us and watching us. Is it better for us to kind of look down and kind of like avoid eye contact with them, or should we stop and be very bold and like look directly at them in the eyes? Which one would be the better option and why?
Like we talked about earlier, we carry ourselves with confidence because we are our boss. Now, if we're in Walmart shopping, everybody that works at Walmart wears those vests that say Walmart, that has their name on it. If you're uncomfortable, you can always look right at that person and say, do you need something? Because we already talked about it's okay to be rude, isn't it, when we feel threatened? Doesn't mean it's not okay to be mean. What are you looking at? Can I help you with something? And then when you see that person who works at that store, you can go to them. Because in the lessons coming up, we're going to talk about reporting too. How we let people know if someone's giving us a hard time. Does that help you, David?
Yes. Yeah. So it's better to be bold and look someone in the eye.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of times if someone's looking, they're sizing you up to see if you're going to give them a problem or if you're going to just kind of submit to their will and go with them.
Exactly. Yeah. Because they're making a judgment. Just like that lion back in the gazelles. They didn't just run into the herd and grab one. They could have. They probably could have, because lions are strong and mean. But you know what he did? That lion waited till he found the right victim. In this case, it became lunch for him later. But you're not that young gazelle. You're not that weak victim. You're strong. You're more like the lion. So we want to look at those people and say, hey, what's up? Remember, we don't want to let them get too close to us where they can grab us. What do you need? What can I help you with? We confront them and we carry ourselves bold and confident.
Following off of what David was talking about, what if someone would flash a badge at you and said that, they are law enforcement and you're gonna have to come with them? How would you approach that?
Yeah, well, from years of working undercover, I've been on that side where we did have to effect an arrest under that kind of scenario. But for the most part, if you're in a public place, I would encourage that person to try and draw some attention to the situation. And you know what? If you have to resist and take your hands off me, stop. If it's legitimate, if it's maybe, because a lot of, we're talking about Walmart a lot today, a lot of stores like that, they have plainclothes security officers. And they may come up and that's a really great question because it's something that could really happen. But if they're legit, they're going to treat you with some respect. they're going to say, sir or ma'am. But if it's a bad person, chances are they're either going to, right away, they're either going to start trying to hurt you or get you out of where you're at. Now, I do want to take it a little farther here, because the things we've talked about are public places like Walmart, where there's other people around, and or maybe a county fair or something where this goes back to that gazelle, you know, stay with the herd. Doesn't necessarily have to be your friends, but if there's a lot of other people there, that still offers a level of protection for you. But if we're out and it's 2 o'clock in the morning and we decide we can't sleep and we just want to go out and sit on our front porch, and then we decide, well, I'm not really tired, I think I'm just going to walk down to the gas station and get myself a Coke, and we're alone at night with not a lot of people around, yeah, you better be making some noise. Draw some attention to yourself. Be that fire truck and turn your siren on, because I want people to see what's going on and come and help me. And if the person trying to do this to us has a real concern, you know, hopefully they're a good person. But sometimes, just like we talked about earlier, that person who may want to do bad things to you, and they're coming from across the room saying, oh, hi, hey, excuse me, could you tell me what time it is? Well, guess what? That's just one trick they use. Sometimes they'll go to the flea markets or on the internet and they'll order little badges and try and say, hey, I'm a police officer, you've got to come with me. If you start making a scene, become difficult, we're going to talk about some things we can do later on. So that's good we're having these questions now. But yeah, you have to go with what you feel. If you're scared and you don't understand what's going on, then it's good to turn your siren on, make noise, drop down, become heavy.
Well, this has been fantastic, Scott. I can't thank you enough for spending your afternoon with us. And
I've enjoyed it. I love it.
This is great, man. I think it's so important for all of our folks to be able to hear this too, and this message that you're giving them. It's so valuable, and especially in this day and age, you just don't know. And that's stranger danger and just being aware of your surroundings. So I can't wait to hear next week and what you have to build off of this.
Well, I'm excited. Next week, we're going to take it a little farther, but I gotta tell everybody, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to review here. So I'm hoping you'll remember that the best self-defense, don't be there. We'll talk about the 10-second game. I'm going to ask you, so hope you got the right answers. Okay, God bless you guys. I can't wait to see you next week. I had a great time. Thank you. Thanks for your questions.
You've been wonderful, Scott. All right, so please be aware of your surroundings and keep yourself safe in the meantime, and we will see you all soon. See you tomorrow morning. Thank you. Have a good night.